Hello, welcome to Bluejay Chat. I'm your host Nathan Meyer. Alongside me, as always, Dr. Sample and John. We got another guest today.
We have a special guest, Glenda Ojensky. She's the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, so she'll be joining us this morning.
Glenda, thank you for joining us. And obviously, Glenda, it's not your first time here. I believe you were also here, but just in a different capacity.
Yes. When I was on the last time, I was the elementary principal at Kate Goodrich Elementary. And if I'm not mistaken, I think part of my last interview was some practice with speech and language.
Yeah, I remember that fondly. But before we get into any of that, because obviously that plays a role in your current job now too, is speech and language. John, we had a board meeting last night, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that we recognize. I was not able to attend the meeting last night, unfortunately. So why don't you refresh us and let me know who was all there?
Absolutely. And the surprise recognition last night, Kevin Blake wasn't even aware of, was for Kevin Blake. And so he was recognized by the Wisconsin Association of School Boards for his continued professional development with the school board organization. And so he reached a level 2 status, which is nice that he's continuing to better his work and to attend professional development through them. We also recognized Nikki Taves for writing a grant to the MEMIC Foundation for the metal drum use in the classroom. We recognized Sheila Dusing. She's a paraprofessional at Jefferson Elementary School, and she's been very instrumental in COVID testing and everything related to COVID to make sure our students and our staff are safe. Christy Nowinski is the guidance counselor at Jefferson and Washington Elementary Schools, and she continued to reach out to students and families throughout the summer to make sure that she's doing everything she can to meet their social, emotional needs. And then Christine Ader, Stevie Klockstein, and Trina Ludsky submitted and secured a $500 grant for Maple Grove from the Aftermath's Pay It Forward Education Grant, and that was to honor Don Nunn. So we had a lot of great recognitions last night to start our board meeting off. The board meeting was very busy. It seemed like it flew by last night. It was only a 90-minute board meeting, but there was a lot of heavy topics and a lot of discussion and a lot of great decisions made last night. I know that our teachers and any salaried staff were very pleased last night that Brian Dasher was able to balance the budget with the state budget settled and distributed to all districts, and so we're going to be able to thaw the salary freeze for all of our salaried staff. So that was a big sigh of relief, I think, for everybody, that we were able to not only balance the budget in light of everything that's happening COVID, but also put everybody back on track with our compensation plan. And probably the biggest news, of course, since last February even, has been COVID and our response to that. And so what came out of last night was to build in a little bit of teacher relief into our school calendar. And that's not teacher relief as far as time off. We're all stressed. We're all ridden with anxiety and trying to meet the needs of our students. But it's offering our teachers additional planning time, because we've got 4 to 5 different modes of instruction taking place between those students that are 100% virtual, an A schedule, a B schedule, sporadic attendance because of COVID and having to quarantine, and then our students that are face-to-face. And so we're stretched really thin when it comes to our planning and our collaboration and making sure that we're doing good work to ensure effective and quality instruction. And so that press release will be going out today since the decision was made last night. So we're really going to focus on the first day where students will not attend, but everybody else will, for planning purposes, will be November 9th. And then we're going to go November 16th, November 30th. And then I believe that date in December is after the 30th will be December 9th. So we've got 4 planning days coming up. It's not going to affect our instructional minutes with DPI at this point because we did have 7 inclement weather days already built into our calendar. So we're going to use 4 of those 7 days that we have above and beyond DPI's mandated minutes to provide our teachers with planning time.
Perfect. And obviously, this is such a weird time, obviously. And Glenda, being that you're in this role where you oversee all these curriculum stuff, that I feel is a good time to go into that. With the COVID thing, because you had a year, I believe, of being the curriculum director without COVID, or a little bit longer?
No, technically not even a full year, because last year was my first year as curriculum director, and in March we shut down for COVID. So not even a full year without it. So
yeah, so obviously, let's say 6 months with COVID, 6 months without COVID. Obviously, what's the difference between the two in your mind that makes this situation with these hybrid students, these full-time learning virtual students, just how does that affect you in your job?
well, I think the biggest thing, and maybe the biggest connection that could be made, I felt like when we had to immediately shut down, give a couple of days of planning time for teachers to be prepared for virtual learning, it seemed to me as if though it had to be very similar to starting a brand new school system, because we were sort of building the plane as we were flying it and doing the best that we could to try to meet everyone's needs. And then there were lots of changes made along the way. You know, we quickly realized that, you know, at the start, our expectations were way too high. And then we had to continuously meet and tweak and adjust and lighten the load some, so that we weren't burning our families out and our teachers out and our students out. But I think this year we spent a lot of time over the summer planning and trying to be as prepared as we possibly could for this year. And again, we're seeing things that we need to make adjustments with the AB scheduling at the middle school and high school. And now they're offering a full virtual option, because through experience, they see that that's what's going to best meet the needs of the students and the staff. And now, you know, allowing time for teachers to be able to have that catch-up day where they can work on just planning and having the ability to provide that important feedback to students to help them continue to grow.
Yeah, and obviously, John, you and I have talked about this in several other Bluejay chats. This virtual learning thing is something that you and I look and go, I don't know if we could have done it like the kids have had to do this last year.
Exactly. It has to meet the needs of the students. I mean, students have to be, and I'm thinking more of our high school students, they've got to be organized, and it's something, it's not for everybody. And so when students lack the organization, because it is a different mode of instruction, our teachers are there to encourage and motivate and keep our students organized. So our teachers play a huge role in virtual instruction. We also talked a little bit about the, you know, everything has an action reaction, and the reaction now is we've got some students that simply aren't attending. And so that's a personal choice. That's a family choice. It's something that's outside of our power, but we don't have any leverage at this point with the suspension of truancy court to that has any teeth. You know, we do our best. We've even made home visits. Our building principals and our teachers have made home visits to families to reach out and get our students re-engaged in attending. But that's another reaction to the COVID action. We're missing a few students, and so these planning days coming up, I think, are going to go a long ways to being able to provide some guidance to those students who we haven't been able to connect with as well. But we're going to be sending out the expectations for our teachers. Glenda and I have chatted. It's not going to be a day of professional development. It's a day that teachers truly need to catch up with students that may need some additional attention, and also to plan moving forward for quality instruction. So a lot of stuff happening last night in a short 90 minutes, really.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a jam-packed 90 minutes of just information jammed down your throat almost. So, John, kind of tell us a few of the other things that were going on, because obviously we couldn't have just been talking about that for 90 minutes if, you know, it was that jam-packed.
No, we talked about, we've had our third and final ad hoc committee meeting for our our building consolidation. And so next year, as everybody knows, Jefferson Elementary will no longer exist as an elementary building. And so we're putting grades K through 4 into Washington and Kate Goodrich. So we're looking at those facilities to see which grades are more suitable to be in which buildings. And we're looking at capacity of those buildings, and then any investments we have to make each one of those buildings suitable for the grades that get assigned to them. That means that fifth grade is going to go up to the middle school. So we've got a lot of considerations there to make their learning environment at the middle school facility that's going to meet the needs of our fifth grade students and provide them with green space and those types of things. So there's a lot going on. COVID couldn't have picked a worse time to come into our lives, because not only are we planning to be without one of our elementary facilities next year, but we've also got a referendum the following year or next year for April as well. And so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of long-term planning. Unfortunately, COVID has provided a scenario in which we have to react to, and we have to react to quickly. That's when we had to shut down Jefferson. That call came in, and all administrators were checking their emails and their text messages, because that happened over the weekend. And so I put the word out on Saturday that Jefferson would be closed effective Monday, which was this past Monday, for 2 weeks. So just a lot going on. We've got a lot of long-term planning, but then we're also reacting to short-term COVID needs.
Yeah, I know. When you put that call out, I got a lot of phone calls from parents that know me and know I'm a part of the school district. And they were like, well, what's this about? And it's like, I don't know. I'm at the high school level. I don't know what happens all the time at the elementary school level. Just know that the building shut down for 2 weeks. It just is what it is at this point. We have to react. We can't predict what this thing is going to do at all.
Sure. And I would love to be able to put out a sheet that says, here's our threshold numbers, so everybody can track absences and those types of things. It truly is, when we don't have enough staff to teach and enough students to learn, that's when that call has to be made. And we got to that point. As you can imagine now, we have everyday absences, from the common cold to somebody using a PTO day, which they certainly can. So we have your normal range of absences, and then we've got absences related to either testing positive or being quarantined because you've come into close contact with somebody who has tested positive. So it's thrown us for a loop. I think our responses have been very disciplined to that, and we're tracking numbers daily in the event that we have to temporarily shut down another building or even district wide. And so there's a lot of factors that play a huge role in this. It's always changing.
Right. And obviously when you talk about, PTO days and all of that, I know people that are taking their PTO day for the common cold just because they don't want to take the chance at all. And that's not even here in the district. That's everywhere that this is happening. So it's not uncommon to hear. And obviously when a student comes up with a cough or something, our first response right now is, well, you might have it. We don't know. And we're not going to take the chance. Go home. We said that, I think, our first episode back, John, from March or whatever. This was the response that it was going to be. And that's obviously going to lead, like you said, to the absences that you were talking about.
Yeah, we just don't want to gamble with student and staff safety. So that's our highest priority. And then, of course, a very close second is the instruction and making sure our students are prepared for life. And so that's really what last night's board meeting was about. The good news is we've got a balanced budget. We were able to thaw the salary freeze, and we're able to move forward with our consolidation for next year, as well as react to COVID and provide our teachers with the adequate planning time to make sure that we're meeting our students' needs. It was probably a board meeting that everything that we talked about, which is true of most board meetings, but everything we talked about was very pertinent, not only for the future, but for the very immediate short-term calendar. So very important board meeting last night, and a lot got done.
Perfect. And obviously, Glenda, with this consolidation, we'll go back to that, because obviously that's a big thing that's going to be coming up, and that's a lot on your plate, I would assume, isn't it?
Yes, when you look at the curriculum needs and the standards that the teachers will be using and resources, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, can you, not that I want to take up a lot of time here. Obviously, we don't have as much time as, I would probably like to get into it. But can you kind of give our viewers just a little bit of a preview of kind of what to expect, or do you have any idea what that could even look like?
No, honestly, I would have to defer that to Dr. Sample to give you more of an insight of what that's going to look like. I'll just be working with the building principals on the curriculum resources, and we'll continue with assessments and those types of things.
Okay.
And what it will do is when we group our students, we're going to be able to collaborate. As you can imagine, we've got K-5 buildings right now. We've got 3 K-5 buildings. There's a big difference between curriculum planning and collaboration and the work that we're doing with our professional learning communities when you're talking about a kindergarten curriculum and the needs of a kindergarten student versus a 5th grade. That's a pretty wide span. And so because of over the years with our declining enrollment and our history, board member John Smith and treasurer John Smith brought it up last night too, that we've lost essentially the capacity of an elementary building over the last few years to declining enrollment. So we have to react that way. We're not only reacting to be fiscally responsible, but we're reacting in a way that's going to make it much more streamlined for our curriculum moving forward. So when we group our grades, our like grades within a building, we're not having to stretch our resources between K-5. We're going to be stretching our resources with kindergarten first or kindergarten first, second, and second, third, fourth, or third, fourth, whatever that may be. And it's going to make for a much more tighter grouping. So you're going to notice a difference when you walk into Washington next year comparing when you walk into Kate Goodrich next year, because everything will be streamlined for those grades, and we only have to focus on 2 to 3 grades at a time. So we're real excited about that our professional development will be much more targeted to those buildings rather than spanning K-5, 3 different buildings, or even 4. Maple Grove is kind of left out of this conversation right now. But I think our curricular needs and our professional development are going to be much more aligned to building wide. And each building will be speaking the language of the grades that they serve. So I'm excited about that. While that is a result of declining enrollment and to be fiscally responsible, it's also a very positive thing moving forward. And it's us making the best of a not so good situation.
Right. And I was just about to say that it's finding that silver lining in the darkness type of situation. I could see, because I could see a lot of benefits to this, as sad as it is to see another elementary school close. Because when I was going to school, John, I believe you were obviously around. I think we had like 5 or 6 elementary schools in the district here. And now all of a sudden we have, coming up next year, we only have 2 or 3 if we're going to count Maple Grove as one of our elementary schools. And that's obviously not something we want to see, but it's just a part of our lives.
That's correct. That's correct. So I'm very pleased, and we have the opportunity to make the most of this situation, and that's what we're going to do moving forward. First thing decided, everything has to follow a time order too, because we don't have monies to reallocate by closing a building and selling that building. That's kind of what people used to think. Buildings sold for $100, $200 because nobody wants the liability of heating and cooling a large building and having that kind of land mass. Where we do have monies to reallocate, and the way we do respond fiscally is anytime we close a building and reallocate grades, is we're saving money on staff because we're able to group students. And so right now we're looking at 5 to 6 teachers, 5 to 6 less teaching positions for next year. Of course, one less administrator, 1 less secretary, 1 less custodial person, and those all go with that building. So that's where our real true costs are realized. And it's not a savings because with declining enrollment, we found that we need to reallocate that money. So at this point, the consolidation plan is going to allow us to reallocate approximately $780,000, and that's going to be necessary in order to balance our budget for next year.
Right. And obviously we don't want to lose our Bluejay brothers and sisters, but it's just kind of one of those things that has to happen in order to keep this, community rolling. So, John, I'm going to give you your one question at this point in time, and then we're going to wrap her up a little bit here.
That sounds great. It's a two-part question, Glenda, but I know you already know the answer. We just don't know the answer yet. So, Glenda, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment in your personal life, and what's your greatest accomplishment in your professional life?
My greatest accomplishment in my personal life would be my children, being a mother, a parent. My greatest accomplishment in my professional life, I feel like I've had a couple. I feel like probably overall the drastic increase that we made with student achievement while I was at Kate Goodrich. Over that 2-year span, I think we saw a 24-point jump, which is almost unheard of. That was due to implementing some systems and staff working hard and putting students' needs first. So I would have to say that would be my greatest accomplishment in my professional career.
Sounds great. I was going to predict what your answer would be, but I was pretty close. I was very close, if not spot on. So I appreciate you sharing that, because I know we don't get an awful lot of chance, and Nathan, with your viewers and things, most people know us professionally, but they know very little about us personally. And so anytime we can shed some light on who we are as people, because we are people, I think it's very important for our viewers.
Yeah, and I know that's where your questions have never, and this is something I want to talk with our viewers here real quick. Dr. Sample, since the beginning of this, has always had a question for people. Normally it's been a joke to kind of lighten the mood and have some fun. But last month we had a Ryan Martinovich on, and it was a very good question that I thought the viewers would love to hear. And so I left it in for them. And obviously we talked about Ryan's loves for deer hunting and being out in the wilderness. So, no, this is definitely something that I think, John, we will definitely keep moving forward, because you are people. I've gotten to know you guys, not only on the administrative level, but as a person. And these people are very good. The best administrators I think anyone could have are right here in Merrill. So just want to put that one out there for our viewers. Despite what you guys have to do professionally, don't always agree, and I'm sure you hear that all the time, John, that sometimes the community just doesn't agree with what's going on. But, you have the hardest job here, and I'm not going to tell you how to do your job, because I couldn't do it.
If I didn't upset people, I didn't make the right decision.
Yeah, that's best way to put it, honestly. So
it should also be noted, though, too, that Megan Kautzer is a much better and much more successful hunter than Ryan Martinovich, and I'll go on record by saying that. Yeah.
Ooh. I think there's got to be an episode with those two at some point, just to see how many deer each one has had. Or
certainly.
All right, so John, one last quick thing that I want to put out there for our viewers. We do have some sports going on, obviously, and I'm losing her name right now, but Elizabeth. Oh gosh, can anyone help me here?
I will be able to help you in just a moment.
I got it right here. Elizabeth Schmidt.
Yes.
Qualified for state for the second year in a row, and she's a junior, John. Absolutely fantastic for her. I mean, second year to go to state, and she's only a junior. Just think what she could do her senior year. Even this year, just think of how well she's going to do there. She's just hoping to get top 10.
Yeah, she's doing a fantastic job. She's a great runner. She's running for our cross-country team, and she will be competing D1 with the race being held at Arrowhead High School down in the Milwaukee area. So her race time is for Saturday at 2 p.m. on October 31st. So we're real happy and anxious to see how well she does. Cross country is always been one of those things because I love track and field, and we get a lot of distance runners out of cross country. So I know she'll represent us well, and she's doing a great job for us. So she'll be competing on Saturday against all of the major runners in the state near the Milwaukee area. So we're wishing her the best of luck for a great race.
Yep, and for those of you who are watching, John, we did an interview with her and Coach Swan yesterday. We're posting it up today. Immediately after we're done filming this, I'll be posting it up. The high school has gotten to see it, and I believe a lot of the staff has gotten to see that promo already. Just her, and she's excited. She's ready to go.
Yeah, fantastic. So best of luck, Elizabeth.
Yeah. So, all right, John, anything else that we need to know before next episode? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have, I'm going to pull it up here real quick. We got Jill Seaman on for it. Yeah, we got Jill Seaman for next episode in like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a very quick turnaround. This time of year kind of squeezes us as far as board meetings go. And so our next, in fact, all of our board reports are due next Friday already. And we just had our board meeting last night. So our board meeting for the month of November is actually going to be on November 18th. It's coming up quickly, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about because things are happening quickly, and we'll see what else comes our way that we'll have to react to.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot to react to nowadays, John. So like I've said before, and I'll keep saying, I do not envy your guys' position.
I'm getting older by the minute.
I'm sure. I feel the same way sometimes, John. So, all right, Jill Seaman. That would be the Pine River School for Young Learners, correct?
It's a mouthful, but yes, Pine River School for Young Learners. She's the director of our Head Start and 4K program. So we'll look forward to seeing her next week on November 19th, or not next week, next month on November 19th.
Yeah, and see how she's reacting to all this. So, Glenda, thank you for joining us again. I know last time John put you through the ringer, but I don't think it was that bad this time.
No, not quite as bad. No speech and language sessions.
Well, all right. Thank you for joining us again. We look forward to seeing you again, Glenda. John, thanks for joining me again. We will see you next month, obviously. And once again, thank you for joining us, viewers. I'm Nathan Meyer with Glenda Ojensky, Dr. John Sample. Thank you for watching Bluejay Chat. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.